Welcome in, and thank you guys for joining us on episode 4 of the Nosebleeds. This episode is going to be the first episode we're using video, so you guys can catch us on YouTube. Obviously, you can tweet this out, you can share it on Facebook, you can find it on our webpage, we're posting it everywhere. If you guys have anything you'd like to add to the show, make sure you guys tweet us at FTNB Podcast. That's all capital letters, FTNB, and then lowercase podcast. It's on Twitter, or you can find us on our website, fromthenosebleedsports.wordpress.com. We got my buddy Trey here today. You heard him last week. This week you see him. Broadcasting live from his house, as you can see from the Kentucky banner we've got hanging behind us. Made sure I rep my crimson today. So today, obviously last night you had game 1 of the NBA Finals, so we'll start with that. Trey, what'd you think?
I don't know, man. It was a tug of war match for sure. The first 3 quarters, but
yeah,
overall, man, the Spurs just tore it up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Spurs ended the game on a 31-9 run. So, and obviously a big part of that was the AC went out and LeBron started cramping. LeBron missed the last, I believe it was like 3 minutes and 25 seconds or something of the game, and that's really when the Spurs just turned it on. But it wasn't as if the Spurs just kicked it on as soon as LeBron left the game. They missed 2 shots the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They were 14 of 16, and they shot 6 of 6 from three-point range. They shot 100% from 3.
And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they didn't do as well because, LeBron's in there. And I understand. He's the best player in the game right now. But you've got Bosh and Wade out there. They can't do anything?
Bosh, Wade, Chalmers,
Battier,
Norris Cole, Ray Allen.
Yeah, you got so many talented players on that team, and you're going to blame the lack of play in the fourth quarter on one guy?
Yeah, losing LeBron, it's not like losing any player in the NBA. Losing LeBron, you're losing the best player in the world.
Well, yeah.
But, at the same time, I don't know, you can't really sympathize for them. Like, oh, poor guy, you lost the best player in the world. Feel so bad for you guys right now. But, I don't know, at the same time, it does hurt your team when a guy like LeBron goes out. Like, that's your leader. That's obviously going to hurt any team when the leader of your team goes down and is struggling. But it is game 1. The Heat have lost. Every time the Heat have lost game 1 in the NBA Finals, they've gone on to win the series. So it's kind of a scary stat if you're a Spurs fan. But, overall, it was a really good game. The Spurs dominated the fourth quarter, but overall, if you watch the game from the tip-off to the finish, it was very tight. Quarter to quarter, the Spurs had the lead the majority of the game.
Not by much, by what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, they kind of led by 4 or 5 most of the game, and the Heat kind of took a lead in the third quarter. They took over coming out of half, and then, like we said, that fourth quarter, the Spurs just blew up.
31-9 is just ridiculous.
The Spurs shot 52% from 3-point range and ended up shooting a total of 58% field goals. That's unheard of.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Especially from 3. Shooting 52% from 3-point range, pretty much anything over 30 or 35. It's a pretty solid night. 52?
It's ridiculous.
You're going to have a hard time losing when you're shooting 52 from 3.
If they keep playing like that, I'll be interested to see what they do in Miami. I know we're not going to see that for another game, but I'd be interested to see if they play lights out like that in Miami, or if LeBron can get these cramps under control.
Yeah, hopefully the AC doesn't go out in Miami.
It's a lot. Well, I don't know if it's a lot hotter there. It might be.
This has been floating around on Twitter, and I've heard some of the talking heads on the radio. I'll go ahead and ask you, does this game get an asterisk because of the AC issue?
No, not at all. Not even close. There's been people saying some conspiracy theories saying that the Spurs did it on purpose. Like, maybe they had practiced with the AC off or something like that. I think that's a load of crap.
That's ridiculous.
I think
Popovich went back and cut the breaker.
I think it's ridiculous. I know I read something on Twitter that Shane Battier was talking about that back in the day, I can't remember what the stadium was called, but back in Duke, how they didn't have AC when they played, and he said it reminded of him every game he ever played in that stadium.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. Tony Parker in the press conference said it didn't really faze him. He said they don't have AC over in, like, when they play in Europe, they'd never had AC, so I mean it wasn't a big deal. I mean, and that's nothing to say that like it was some crazy conspiracy. It's like Ray Lewis saying Roger Dale cut the lights out at the Super Bowl. Like it just didn't happen. It's just a coincidence. Like you can't plan for that. That could happen at any time. But it was a hindrance to both teams.
Yeah.
It's not like the Spurs go out and practice in the damn desert.
Yeah.
And I mean, Miami's no. It's not like Miami is Alaska. Miami's just as hot. So if both teams were to practice outside one day, which they wouldn't and they don't, both of them are from hot climates.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think there's any way to turn this on how it's favorable towards the Spurs.
I mean, you can say that it's favorable for the Spurs just because they won, but I mean, if the Heat would have won, I honestly don't feel like you'd have this many people with outcrying. That
what you would have is the Heat can win in any condition. The Heat can, doesn't matter what it is, the Heat will win.
Yeah.
Even if the AC's out.
And I don't know. I think I'm on your side. I mean, there's just no way that this game gets an asterisk. Yeah. The Spurs played well from first quarter to fourth quarter. They played the more complete game. Yeah, the Heat lost LeBron, but it's just a coincidence. I mean, that's
the name of the game. I mean, stuff like that happens. It's
next man up.
Yeah.
Headline for that game, you can go ahead and say it. We tweeted it out on Twitter last night. Hashtag heat stroke. I mean, the Heat they didn't get it done, and it was when I was looking at the box score, it was very similar to Game 1 against the Pacers, where, not in the total score, I mean, they ended up losing by 15, but the Pacers really dominated that Game 1. One of the things that hurt the Heat in Game 1 against the Pacers was not being able to get to the free throw line. In this game, they shot 9 for 11, so they only got to the stripe 11 times, and the Spurs were 17 for 22, so they had double the chances at the free throw line. Ended up outscoring them by 8 points alone just from the free throw line.
Yeah.
That's going to help you in any game. Any game you can get to the free throw line and the other team doesn't, you're already at an advantage. Yep. So if the Heat want to tie this series up, they're going to have to do like they did in Game 2 against the Pacers and give the ball to LeBron and then let him take it down to the defense into the paint and try and get some fouls.
And make sure he's got a few bananas in his back pocket.
Yeah, man, I don't understand how he doesn't get this under control. He's like notorious for having cramping issues. I feel like he should be pumping a liter of fluids into him before each game.
And I mean, I blame that on the trainers, man. I mean, like you said, he's notorious for getting in cramp trouble, and he is the best player in the NBA right now.
In the world.
Yeah, in the world right now. So if you're not taking care, that's like having an Aston Martin sitting outside and just letting it collect dust.
Yeah, never changing the oil.
Yeah, never changing the oil in it. Like, dude, that's an asset to your team. You do whatever it takes to make him healthy. And he's got cramp issues. You make sure he's got tons of potassium or whatever some convoluted medicine doctors got fixed up or something.
Some voodoo medicine guy down in South Beach.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Spurs take Game 1, but as for the rest of the series, if the rest of the series goes like Game 1, I think this is going to be a series that could go 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like just the way that game was played overall, take out the part where LeBron goes out. If LeBron stays in that game, it was a much closer finish. The Spurs don't win by 15.
Yeah.
Because when LeBron went down, I think the Spurs had just taken a 2-point lead. So, I mean, all signs were leading to a close finish, maybe even overtime. I think this game probably does go 6 or 7. I'll stick with my pick that I made originally when the playoffs started, Spurs in 6. We'll hope that plays out just so I can toot my own horn. But I do think the Spurs will pull it out. I think this is their year. You got Timmy. He's dominating down in the paint.
21 points last night.
You would never guess that guy is as aged as he is. I mean, and honestly, for Tim Duncan, I think if the Spurs go out and they win this year, I would not be surprised at all if Tim Duncan goes out on top and calls it quits.
Yep, I wouldn't either.
Would be his. I think this is going to be his 5th ring.
Yeah, something like that. Getting up there.
It's 5th or 6th ring. He's already solidified himself. He's a Hall of Famer. He's going to be. He's the best center to ever play power forward.
Yeah.
He revolutionized the power forward position in its entirety. I think this would be a great way for him to go out on top. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Spurs go, if he decides to hang up the shoes and retire.
Yeah. And I know that, and you know the Spurs wanted to. I know that we saw on Twitter before Game 1 that there's a billboard in San Antonio that's it's bought versus built.
Yeah, that was actually
that.
I think that was actually from last year's series, I believe. But
really?
It's been circulating Twitter recently. It's a cool billboard, but when you actually look at the payrolls, I think as far as league wide, the Spurs have the 8th highest payroll and the Heat have the 6th highest payroll. So I mean, but definitely as far as how the team was originated, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the Heat definitely bought their team, and the Spurs definitely built their team. So yes, but as far as like when you look at the logistics of it, their actual payrolls, they're pretty similar. So how do you see? I think the Spurs take it in 6. What do you got? What do you got for the series?
I mean, I really want the Spurs to win. I do. I really want Tim Duncan to get into the ring, and Kawhi Leonard's one of my favorite players right now. I actually really don't know why. It's just kind of like his cornrows, I guess.
Okay.
You never know. I mean, I was thinking about the other day going back and get some cornrows. What do you think?
Do it. I'd pay for that, actually.
No, I don't know. I'm gonna say Heat in 6.
Heat in 6. Okay.
gonna
So you
say
think they
Heat in
turn
6.
it around when they go down to Miami?
Yeah, I think in Miami it's a different game, but I mean, it's my heart.
I
says
could see
Spurs.
this. I could see this playing out almost identical to the Thunder series, with the exception of the lopsided scores. I could see this as where the home team just dominates.
Yeah.
And it goes to Game 7, and the Spurs just win it with the home court.
Yeah, I can see that too.
But I think it's going to be a great series. It'll be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
We'll definitely keep you guys up to tune. Let's transition a little to more me and Trey sport. Let's talk World Cup. Biggest news lately.
The U.S. front, anyways.
Yeah, on the U.S. Yeah, Landon Donovan, cut from the 23-man roster, didn't make the final roster. When this news hit the fan, I was baffled. I honestly didn't know what to say. I was riding with my buddy who actually plays collegiate soccer up in Michigan. He's a huge sports fan, and he was just as taken aback by it as I was. Landon Donovan, when you think U.S. soccer, probably the first name that comes to your mind is Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
You think Landon Donovan, you think Clint Dempsey, you think Tim Howard,
and maybe
Bradley
yeah.
or Josie Altidore,
Yeah.
maybe. But Donovan, Dempsey, Howard are the three.
Easy top 3.
They're the poster boys.
Yeah.
For U.S. soccer.
Yeah, and for Jurgen Klinsmann not to include Landon Donovan is just. I mean, I understand that he came in and he's being serious. He's like, every spot is up for grabs. I don't care how many World Cups you've played. I don't care how many goals you have in MLS. Which, speaking of that, Landon Donovan just broke the record, but that's another thing.
Like a day after that he was cut from the U.S. roster.
Yeah, I think that's not the right move. I mean, Landon Donovan is a veteran. He's been, 2-3 World Cups now?
Yeah, I believe this might be his 4th World Cup, yeah.
Well, not anymore, but...
It would have been.
Yeah, it would have been. But you have, even if he's not playing, you have him on the bench for support. You have him...
And that's my thing.
Yep.
You cannot tell me that there are 23 guys in America that are better than Landon Donovan.
Yeah, I don't...
You can't. I refuse to believe that, and it's just not true. There are not 23 other guys that are better than Landon Donovan right now. Yes, he's 32 years old. Yes, he's aging. Yes, this was probably going to be his last World Cup. But now, he's never going to have another World Cup. This would have been his last, and I can't believe that he did not make the roster. I understand building for the future, getting some young guys some experience, but there has to be one other guy on that team that you could have done without and give Landon a spot. Maybe, honestly, he deserves to be a starter, but if Klinsmann doesn't think he's deserving to be a starter, then fine, that's cool. He can come off the bench and he could play 15-20 minutes and be an extremely great bench player. Like, that's a crazy spark you'd have coming off the bench. And even if he doesn't play at all, he's a great guy that you want to have in that locker room. Like, you're always talking about in sports, the guys you want to have in your locker room. Landon Donovan is the guy you want to have in your locker room.
Oh, yeah. Easily. I mean, and I just looked it up. Clint Dempsey's only 1 year younger than Landon Donovan. He's 31.
Yeah,
Landon Donovan's 32.
Yeah, Clint's a little closer to the prime of his career, though. He peaked a little. He's peaking right now.
Yeah.
Landon Donovan's already peaked, and he's kind of on the downslope of his career. But he's on the downslope, but he's not bad at all.
Yeah,
he's still one of the most elite players in America. He could lead. If he was playing in this World Cup, I would not be surprised if he led the team in scoring.
No, yeah, not at all.
I mean, I'm just baffled by it. I mean, I understand what Klinsmann's doing. His whole philosophy is building for the future, and I think he's got us going in the right direction. I mean, I obviously do not agree with this decision, but I think by 2022 we'll be in a solid position to. I mean, in America, when it's World Cup time, the talk is always, man, I hope we can get out of the group.
Yeah. Like,
getting out of the group is a win. I think by 2022, if Klinsmann can develop some of these younger guys we have that are going to be on the roster this year, I think 2022 would be a year we talk about not just getting out of the group, but making a deep run, like semifinals, finals, like going deep.
That's a good transition to Jurgen Klinsmann coming out publicly and saying that we have 0, not 1, not 0.5, 0% of winning the whole thing.
Yeah, Klinsmann came out in an interview with a New York Times reporter, and this was in December, I believe. So we didn't have this roster set. Like, I can't believe it. In December, he said we had 0% chance of winning the World Cup. 0%. And, okay, let's be honest. We probably do have 0% chance of winning this World Cup.
Well, but you don't go out and say that into the entire United States.
Exactly. We're not going to win this World Cup. I could probably bet my mortgage on that. We are not going to win. But that's not something you say. Like, what does that tell the guys on the team when you're coming out in December and publicly saying we have 0% chance of winning this World Cup? I mean, that almost, if I'm a player, I'm like, why the hell even show up then?
Yeah, like in high school, if our soccer coach came up to us and was like, hey guys, we have no chance of winning the state final, but let's go out there and give it our best, I would be like, what?
Yeah, like,
I would play worse if someone came up and told me that.
You play for fun in rec league. When you're playing for the World Cup, you are playing to win, not to go out there and have a good time with your buddies and go to Brazil. Like, this isn't a freaking vacation. This is the World Cup. Let's go. You don't tell your team that you have 0% chance to win. So those are the two. Like, Klinsmann is on my bad side. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know why you say that to the media. I don't know if that's how you do shit in Germany, but that's not how we do it in America.
Bring back Bradley.
Yeah. You're sounding like freaking Bin Laden when you say you have 0% chance to win. Let's go. I don't know. But as far as this World Cup breaks down, America drew the group of death, it seems, this year. We have Germany, Portugal, and Ghana. Ghana has been our arch rival for the past 2 World Cups. They've been the team to kick us out in the past 2.
We play them game 1.
I can't even describe my
hatred,
loathing for the
I remember watching
country of Ghana.
I remember watching it 4 years ago. I was in Ohio, I think, but not because when I moved there, but I was there for in Lima, Ohio, for a motorcycle rally my dad was going to with my aunt and uncle. But we were watching it at a bar, the Ghana game, and that the one that went to overtime.
Yeah.
Or was it just late game goal?
I think it was late goal, something like that. It's been
because I know it was tied for a while, or so. I know it was just heartbreaking, the loss.
Yeah. Because
we should have won the game, and just a shame.
So we've got Ghana in the first game. Honestly, this is a group of death, but I honestly would not be surprised if we get out of this group. I think we can do it. I think we could definitely do it if we had Landon Donovan. I'm going to keep harping on that, but
Germany had some trouble didn't they? I thought they played a game the other day.
Yeah, they
had lost.
They had a rough game the other day. I don't think they lost, but they just didn't play well. But Germany's getting out of the group. It's Germany, and then who gets out between us, Ghana, and Portugal. I like the idea of playing Ghana first because this is not an elimination game. whatever. I think we can take them. I think we can, if we can get 3 points in that game, if we can get the win in that game, we're on solid footing. And then if we could maybe muster up a tie against Germany, that's a stretch. I think that's a game we probably lose. But if we could get 1 point out of that game, and then 1 point or maybe 3 points against Portugal. Portugal's is a game that I think we could win. We'd have to play really well. But I think we can win that. I could see us getting out of this group.
Ronaldo's got some muscle ligament issues in his leg or whatever.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
It's Ronaldo and it's the World Cup. He'll be all right. I think this is a group we could get out of. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. You've obviously got to play top-level soccer, especially against... I think we could easily beat Ghana. I think they're a team we could beat. It's just getting past the mental aspect of it. They're a team we can beat. Portugal and Germany. Portugal's beatable, but you have to play on another level. And then Germany, we would have to have some balls bounce our way. And
stupid calls.
Timmy would have to play... Like, he would have to have a clean sheet, I think. I think to beat Germany, they can't score.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. As far as who's going to win the World Cup overall, Germany's probably the top pick for most people. You can never count out Spain, and I think Brazil winning a World Cup in Brazil would be pretty sweet.
Then I'm pretty sure the world would explode.
I think that'd
Brazil
be
would
cool.
Go into anarchy and start trying to conquer every country in the world. And
I challenge you to soccer.
I challenge you to soccer.
Put your guns down.
Trial by soccer.
So I think it's going to be a great World Cup. Starts in, I think we're 6 days, either 5 or 6 days away.
It's pretty soon.
So, and the World Cup it's almost like no other thing. I mean, you can kind of compare it to the Olympics, but soccer in America, and this is just strictly America I'm talking about. In America, soccer it's the sport you let your kids play when they're little. Every kid's pretty much played rec soccer. But as far as turning on your TV and watching a game of soccer, it's...
Or MLS. I mean, it's getting a lot more... it's getting a lot more publicity lately. After last World Cup is when it kind of started to take off a little more. But, I mean, it's not really... Well, it's very clearly not the dominant sport in America.
No.
I mean...
And I mean, I'll admit...
big three, football, basketball, baseball, you can't even compare soccer to those three.
Well, soccer is the number one sport in the world.
Well,
as far as kids who are actually playing... I would say soccer is probably top 3.
Yeah, no, it's definitely up there, and
as far as kids who are playing, it's probably ahead of football. It's probably top 2.
Yeah,
it's probably between soccer and baseball.
Yeah,
but as far as getting TV ratings, that's another thing. The MLS is getting better, but it's being lucky to be in the top 10. Really,
to be completely honest, something is in the water in Seattle. Just because their football fans are rabid, and I know their soccer fans are, if not more rabid.
They have the best MLS fans.
It's
them in LA.
It reminds me of hooligans in England, Manchester United or Chelsea or Man City fans are just die hard. If you talk shit about their team, they will kill you.
Yeah, but the World Cup. Get back to what we were saying is. I don't know, America just kind of... Anytime you put a team and you slap USA in front of it, Team USA, America just gravitates towards it. Nobody gives a crap about soccer, but when it's World Cup time, people are in a frenzy trying to learn the rules.
Yep.
What is offsides?
Yeah.
What the hell does last defender mean?
I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up to me and be like, explain to me offsides. And I'm like... I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't even understand offsides. I've played soccer my entire life. I didn't understand offsides until
I played with you.
until at least middle school.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to understand if you've never watched soccer or played soccer, but really once it's explained to you and
it's pretty simple.
Grasp it. It's a really simple concept.
It's pretty simple to understand. To actually execute and call... It's definitely hard to play by.
It's got a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different factors, but I mean, really, it's just stay in front of the last defender. Yeah. That's all we'll say. I'm not going to diagram offsides to you guys. So I think if I were to pick somebody to win this year, I think I'm rooting for the story here. I would like to see Brazil win.
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool.
I mean, it's so hard to be like, to root for another team. I mean, I've always been an England supporter just because they've been, like, that's the only team, like, I could ever, like, justify rooting for because, like, I know the majority of the players on that team. And, I mean, I'm obviously not for England, but I try to at least semi-keep up with English Premier League. I mean, I would like this. I mean, England's not going to win. I'd like to see them make at least out of their group. I don't know who they're playing. I didn't look, but
look it up here. We have the groups pulled up. We can go see it up. Yeah, I like England. You like the players just because those are the guys you see in the Premier League a lot. But I don't know. It's something about when those England guys put on that national jersey. They just play like garbage.
Yeah.
Like when Wayne Rooney puts on an England jersey, like you might as well be me running around out there. They've got Uruguay, Costa Rica, and Italy, so not an easy group. Costa Rica, they can definitely handle, but Uruguay and Italy, those are going to be tough outs.
Yeah, Italy's old, like they've been forever, but I mean, they're getting good.
Well, they've got old veteran players, but they've got a lot of younger guys that are just killer. I mean, you've got
Ballinelli, right?
Balotelli,
whatever. Ballinelli sounds.
It's Bellinelli for the Spurs. Okay,
whatever.
I think England's got to get past Uruguay. Yeah. I think Italy's probably solid getting out of the group, and if I'm a Uruguay fan, I'm thinking we're probably solid going to get in their group just from the way England plays in their in the World Cup. I mean, just recently they just haven't played that well, but I mean you can't put it past England to get past. I mean you can't count them out really.
But I don't think I count out the Netherlands. I don't think I count out the Netherlands because they.
Let's look at this. Yeah, you've got
Netherlands is up more.
Let's see, France, Argentina,
Bosnia. Oh my God, they're done.
Yeah, I don't know. Iran's gonna give them a run for their money. Can we please get in
that group? Argentina, Bosnia, Iran, and Nigeria.
So basically, that means that Bosnia, Iran, or Nigeria is going to advance to the quarterfinals because Argentina's gonna mop the floor with them. They're gonna wipe their ass with them and take their 12 points. Germany, Portugal, Ghana, U.S. Group of death. Belgium, Algeria, Russia, South Korea. Belgium's pretty good. Russia would probably get out of there.
Yeah.
Algeria is not terrible. They were in our group last World Cup. Brazil, home team, they have Croatia, Mexico, and Cameroon.
So I think maybe Mexico or Croatia gets out. Brazil obviously does.
I would say I would pick Cameroon maybe. And then you have Spain, Netherlands, Chile, and Australia. Sorry, Chile and Australia. Yeah. Y'all are done. Spain and Netherlands, that's a rematch of World Cup final last World Cup. Yeah. It's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah.
Colombia, Greece, Ivory Coast, Japan. Colombia's, they've got a lot of talent on that team. They're coming up. And then Ivory Coast, obviously good. They got Didier Drogba. But I don't know. I think if I was to pick somebody out, I'm taking Brazil.
I think
Although I did really like Argentina's group there. They had a weak-ass group.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Netherlands. I think I like the run they made last World Cup. I mean, I don't know much about Netherlands. I know have Van Persie.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And that's what I'm saying, because and that's kind of how it is in America. Like, we don't know a whole lot about. Like, I played soccer forever. You played a long time, but it's just hard to get into like watching Premier League or watching.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got to get up and watch the game at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
because you can't watch. I mean, you can't watch it here unless
you're like a diehard fan. Like, we've got a buddy who's big into it, and if we had him on the show, he'd probably be laughing at us for what we're saying.
Yeah, but, we wouldn't in everything that we said pretty much is complete bullshit.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's a huge fan. I give him credit. Like, he's deep into soccer.
I mean, it's to the point like he can name like the managers of like any team. Like you name a random team in Italy, and he probably knows 5 players and the manager on the team.
Yeah, I've never met a bigger soccer fan than this guy. Shout out to Riley Jackson. But no, I mean, it's just difficult. But now that it's World Cup time, we're all like, oh, let's see who do we got, and you're gonna be watching the games. And you're gonna find players you like. You're gonna find teams you like, and by the end of probably after you've seen one round of games, like when everybody has played at least once, you're going to have a team that you want to win.
Yep.
You're going to find a story you like. You're going to find a player you like, and you're going to start rooting for them, and you're just going to follow them to the World Cup.
Yep.
And then when they get eliminated, you'll find somebody else, and you'll keep following them. That's just the beauty of the World Cup. It's the greatest sporting event in the world, I think. I love it better than the Olympics.
Yeah. Which is speaking of the World Cup, I know I've talked to you about my cousin that works for EA.
Yeah.
And so him and the guys at EA Sports have made a bracket challenge that they've got going on their EA Sports website, which I'll get you to tweet out a link to everybody, and it'd be kind of cool to get in there. You just it's like March Madness bracket. You just kind of go through, see who's gonna win, see who's gonna, and also if you do pretty well, you pick it right. They've got some prizes you can win. It's pretty cool, and not to mention that my cousin's got a lot of involvement in it. He wrote a lot of the code and programming stuff that goes into all that stuff, so it's pretty chill.
That's pretty cool. We could probably set up from the Nosebleeds group, and maybe have a prize for the winner. I don't know. We could probably set something like that up. We're definitely gonna be doing fantasy football. Still need to set a date on that. That's probably gonna be coming up decently soon, just because I'm getting the itch to draft a team. Beat the hell out of you fools.
We should definitely tweet out some links or tweet out some stuff to say if you want to join. Send us a note. We'll set it up. We'll make sure that everybody that wants in can get in, and
yeah, we can definitely do that. No problem. Yeah, we can do that for sure. So we've got the World Cup. Another big sporting event this week coming up is we've got a chance for a Triple Crown. That's a big deal. First time that's happened in a long time. Sorry about the technical difficulties, folks. Running the podcast on video for the first time, had trouble. It's all right. We're back up.
All right, so Triple Crown. Yeah.
We were talking about the Triple Crown. It's big. Like, this only happens once every couple of decades. California Chrome's running for history this weekend. I think he gets it done personally. I mean, he's flat out destroyed the competition in the Derby and the Preakness. So I think he makes history this weekend. What about you?
Yeah, I think he gets it done. I think it's about time for one of those once in a decade.
Yeah, they'll make a movie about it.
Yeah. Seabiscuit.
It'll be cool. Like I'll tune in and watch it. I mean, that's that's kind of the thing. Like, everybody watches the Derby, but you only watch the Preakness or the Belmont Stakes if there's a chance for a Triple Crown. Yeah. So I'm sure the people in Belmont up in New York are just loving this.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll tune in. I'll watch it. We'll tweet about it. But we just had some big news at the Fan. If you go and look at ESPN right now, they've got a cover story talking about North Carolina basketball and some possible big picture issues they've got going on over there.
Rashad McCants, right? McCants?
Yeah, former player Rashad McCants was on the 2005 national championship team. That was the first year that Roy Williams ever won a title at North Carolina. That was McCants' junior season. He says that he was in basically what they call paper classes. Basically, you don't have to show up. You write one term paper and get a grade. He's got a lot of good quotes in this article. If you go to ESPN and check it out, written by Steve Delson wrote this article, and it got posted at 3:00, so literally 30 minutes ago. This just hit the fan. It's big. Like, this has a lot of big picture implications, and if what he's saying is true, North Carolina basketball is going to be in a lot of trouble, and Roy Williams' job could be on the
because not only did he say I was in those classes, but he said Roy Williams knew about it. Yeah. He knew we were in those classes. He goes on to say in the article something about where a lot of the players would major in African American studies or Afro studies or something like that.
Yeah, apparently that was a lot of the players were enrolled in African American studies classes, and they were getting all A's, and it was just a paper class. Like, they were just writing a term paper and getting an easy A for the class.
It also goes into there to say that he even received Dean's List one semester.
Yeah, He wasn't attending classes, but he made the dean's list. This here says a copy of McCants' university transcript labeled unofficial and obtained by Outside the Lines shows that in his non-African American studies classes, McCants received 6 C's, 1 D, and 3 F's. When he was in his African American studies classes, he had 10 A's, 6 B's, 1 C, and 1 D.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about lopsided, that's lopsided. I mean,
Exactly.
If you have somebody that's taking regular classes like sciences or maths or whatever, and you're making C's, D's, and F's, and then all of a sudden this magical African American studies comes in and, oh man, you know a lot about that. You're super smart and you get all A's. And
Yeah, I don't care if you're black, brown, or green. You don't just automatically know all kinds of African American history like this without doing well in any of your other classes. I just find it hard to believe that. And he's got another quote that I found really interesting in here, that during the time when he was at North Carolina, he didn't really think anything of this. He just thought this was kind of normal. Like, he thought this is how it was on every college campus for all big-time athletes. He's quoted as saying, "I thought it was part of the college experience, just like watching it on a movie from He Got Game or Blue Chips," McCants said. "When you get to college, you don't go to class, you don't do anything, you just show up and play." That's exactly how it was, you know. I think that was a tradition of college basketball or college, period, in any sport. You're not there to get an education, even though they tell you that. You're there to make revenue for the college, you're there to put fans in the seats, and you're there to bring prestige to the university by winning games.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I thought was interesting is that Roy Williams comes out and says everything he's saying is a lie. Like, I didn't know that they were in these kinds of classes, everything like that. Which brings me to think that that's Roy Williams acknowledging that those classes were fake classes. That's him saying, well, I didn't know that they were in those kinds of classes. He's saying that I did and I didn't. But that, to me, is saying that you knew there were those kinds of classes.
Yeah, let me see if I can, I don't really expect Williams to say anything else. He's not going to come out and say, yes, he was in a fake class. Got us busted, but, this is a big story.
This could potentially affect the legacy or the of Roy Williams. This could really affect everything that he's done at North Carolina.
Yeah, Roy Williams' statement is in the article. It says, "With respect to the comments made today, I strongly disagree with what Rashad has said. In no way did I know about or do anything to close to what he says, and I think the players whom I have coached over the years will agree with me. I've spent 63 years on this earth trying to do things the right way, and the picture he portrays is not fair to the university or to me." So he's obviously coming out and opposing these comments. I mean, what else do you expect?
We were talking about it earlier, and I said, why would he come out and lie about this? I mean, he could, for the attention, but that just doesn't make much sense to me. I mean,
this is a random guy that wants attention. Like, this is, I don't know, I feel like if it was somebody who wanted attention, it wouldn't be some, I don't know, Rashad McCants is the guy I would think. It just seems strange that a former player from 2005 would just randomly now and 9 years later is going to come out and be like trying to make a big story. I don't know. I just don't see it. I feel like he's got to be telling the truth, but I mean, I'm sure this definitely will not be the first. I mean, this won't be the last time we hear about this story. It's going to get blown up on ESPN. I'm sure if you turn your TV to Sports Center right now, it's all over the news, breaking news. But really, what this. Well, we were kind of talking about it when we had technical issues. We saw the story on ESPN. This kind of leads into a bigger topic of kind of the dark side of college athletics and the whole recruiting and benefits and
just everything that goes on under the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of naive if you don't think that these 5-star athletes they're getting something. They're not your typical college kids getting by eating ramen noodles.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they're getting their share of benefits.
Yeah, I mean, I know both of us being fans, fans of extremely powerhouse teams in the sports that we're good at. For you, Alabama football, and for me, Kentucky basketball.
Yeah, both of our teams. I mean, Bama's been number one recruiting for since like 2008 or something stupid.
Yeah, and last year Kentucky's supposed to have the best recruiting class ever in basketball history or college basketball
9
history.
McDonald's All-Americans on the team next year. And I mean, I'm a fan of Alabama, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh no, Nick Saban's just a really good recruiter. No, please. I mean, he is a really good recruiter, but there's probably most definitely some shady stuff going on behind the scenes. Whether that be paying players, bribing them with cars, jewelry, whatever. It probably happens. And if the story came out tomorrow and proved that Alabama was paying all of its athletes, I'd be like, well, yeah, probably. Oh well. Count the rings, bitches.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much attraction for me for a high schooler coming out of high school, looking at options to go to play for a college, and yeah, I look at Alabama as holy crap, they have so many championships. But another factor for me is, am I that good? My playing time is going to be 0 until I'm a junior, until I can show myself. And yeah, you're going to get on that big stage in front of everybody, but do you really want to sit? I mean, there's got to be something else that gets you to go there if you're going to sit on the bench for 2 years. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you had, a few weeks ago, you had the story about Pat White came out and said that Alabama offered him a Corvette to play for the Crimson Tide. That was kind of brushed away. I mean, Nick Saban wasn't even the head coach at that time, so it wasn't really a big issue. Which, the bigger question that came with that story was, well, if Alabama offered you a Corvette, why the hell did you pay for West Virginia? What did they offer you? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, college athletics is a very, very corrupt world. The NCAA has absolutely no grip on what's going on. I mean, they can do an investigation and hand out some penalties, but at the end of the day, they have no control over what's going on.
Yeah.
They can't stop it. Like, the NCAA isn't proactive at all. They're 1,000% reactive. They wait until something bad happens and then they do some investigation and bust you. They don't ever take any steps to prevent it from happening. Like, you can't stop these boosters or agents or runners. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, the recruiting world is just shady stuff goes down, and that's just how it is. Just accept your 5-star players, win some titles, and be happy.
Yeah,
I mean, not, well, sucks to suck.
It just goes back to the Johnny Football fiasco where he was apparently signing and selling merchandise from of himself, obviously, but and it goes back to, like you said, the NCAA being reactive, where I mean this could have been going on another table for a long, long time, but until it actually got some publicity
today, Junior.
some publicity. Then the NCAA is like, oh, we got to take care of this. We got to shut this down right now. We've got to take care of this. So, I mean, they really don't care until someone makes a big deal out of it. Because if somebody makes a big deal out of it, and then they don't do something about it, then they'll just get trampled over by everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an issue until some ESPN reporter or some former player comes out and makes statements, and it's a story. The NCAA is not going to do anything until the media gets involved and you have this uproar from fans like, how is this happening? What's happening? Something must be done. They must be punished. Yep. Roy Williams needs to be fired. They need to clean house at North Carolina. Nick Saban's head to be put on a stake. Like, no.
Yeah, Calipari be gone.
They're going to sit back.
Saban be gone.
Let it go. Because at the end of the day, these players are bringing in truckloads of money. And money and money. And that is all that matters. They sign, they pay checks. Money's coming in, the NCAA's happy. but when the media makes a big story about it, the NCAA can't just sit there and
be like, so what? We're getting money, because then they look like shit.
Yeah, they've got to do something. So I mean, that's my beef with the NCAA is they're totally reactive. They don't ever do anything proactive. Like, you have these stories come out, the NCAA does something, and then you don't hear about them until the next allegation comes out.
That makes me wonder because they're obviously going to dive into this and look into this further, and I'm really curious to see, what kind of comes out of this. If they uncover, like, this is true, and that Roy Williams has been doing this and knew about it since he's been there, I wonder if they would even revoke his national championships. Is that even an option?
Well, that could happen because, if they could dive down deep enough and find out that McCants was 100% in a paper class, then they could rule him academically ineligible, and then have an academically ineligible player playing on your team, then you win a national title. Yeah, they could strip that 2005 title away from him. They can't take all of his titles away unless they can prove that there was an ineligible player playing on all of those teams. But they could definitely strip the 2005 title away from him. Yeah, and that'd be a big black mark on North Carolina history. And North Carolina is obviously one of the. When you think college basketball, you think like North Carolina,
Duke,
Kentucky,
Duke, Louisville, maybe even right
UCLA.
Now. Yeah.
But they're like one of the original powerhouses, and I think that's going to make this story even bigger, is that it's happening at North Carolina. It's not happening at like
Mississippi State or some
name
basketball school.
Creighton.
Yeah. Well,
it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. That's a good story. Help you get through this off season. It's hard to find headlines in the off season without football. Football countdown to August is coming. We're gonna get the fantasy football thing going pretty soon.
Yeah.
We'll be tweeting out. We'll tweet out some things, and we'll have you guys shoot us a response if you want in, and we're gonna figure out a way to decide who gets in. Maybe it's like a first come first serve thing. Maybe it's we'll figure something out. We'll have more with that next show. We'll have a detailed plan on how we're gonna run the fantasy football league, and we might even. I think the World Cup thing sounds good.
Yeah.
But it's been fun, guys. Thanks for joining us in the Nosebleeds episode 4 with video this time. Had a few issues, but we'll get it running smooth next week. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us in the Nosebleeds. See you guys.